Hi guys, my name is Ivu and this is my first vlog as a BU student vlogger. Today's topic is the difference between school and university and how seminars differ from lectures. I hope that this vlog helps those of you who are coming fresh up from school and are going into university and are worried about what's going to be different. I hope that this vlog explains all of those questions that you might have. So the first difference that you might encounter in university is that you have to self-motivate yourself a lot. And what I mean by that is that you have to actually self-motivate yourself to study constantly, because in university you don't have anyone who is going to look after your studies and make sure that you're doing the things the right way. In school you have a teacher who is constantly looking at your work, at your progress, and makes sure that your grades are up to date and that you're not falling behind on the material. In university there's nothing like that. You have to do all those things by yourself, so you have to make sure that you're prepared for your exams, that your projects are on time, and that everything is straight. And that's one thing that most people find hard. The second difference is the amount of independent studying that you have to do in university. And what I mean by that is that you have to manage your time properly and actually get your work done on time. And that's the really hard part, because when you look at your schedule you see that you have like maybe half a week off, you don't have any lectures some days, half day lectures some day, and you're like, oh well, this is really easy, I have time. But the truth is that you actually have to fill up your free time with independent studying. And the problem is that as you pass from one year to another, the amount of independent studying that you have to do increases proportionally. So in the first year you have the least independent studying, while in your third year you will have to do the most independent studying. And that's one of the pitfalls of university, because you have so much free time that you actually end up not doing your work on time, and that's where most people get into trouble. The third difference between school and uni is maybe the initial shock of actually going to uni. And what I mean by that is actually going to a lecture in university and the shock of having 250 people that you don't know all around you. It's kind of overwhelming, but you get used to it over time. I think that it's shocking because in school you're used to being surrounded by 25 people that you know, your friends, your mates, so that's really familiar. And when you suddenly step into an environment where you don't know anyone and it's just one large theater, it's kind of overwhelming, to be honest. The last difference that I have listed today for you guys is maybe the hardest, because when you step into university from high school you kind of have to change your pattern of learning, because in school everything is set for you. You have a set amount of classes from 9 to 4 every single day, you have a set amount of work to do, a set amount of homework, and even your exams you're basically being told study from page 5 to page 10 and this will be on the exam, and if you learn that everything is fine. Well, in uni it's kind of not like that. In university you have to completely change your pattern of learning. You have to study not only while you're in university, but you have to study in your free time. You have to use different tools to actually study, like going to the library, like researching your own content, your own materials, taking your notes, studying from them. It's also kind of different because you have to use the internet to do a lot of research. And lastly, you have to develop skills such as critical thinking in order to actually pass and do well at university, which is a bit of a shock at first, but to be honest, you get over it pretty quickly if you actually try. To summarize everything, school is like a map with 2 points on it, from point A to point B, and you're being guided on how to get from one point to the other, while university is more like a map with thousands of little dots on the map, and you actually have to figure out your way from one dot to another, connect them and make it work. In conclusion, going to university can be very different than going to school, but at the end of the day, if you do your work constantly and you manage your time, you won't have any problems, and it can be much more fun than going to school, since you can learn the material that you're giving your way. You can have your approach on things, and you have a lot more freedom in uni than you have at school. And now for the final part of this vlog, I will explain the difference between lectures and seminars. Lectures are usually held in big auditoriums with more than 200 people in them. The topic of the lecture changes each week, and the lecture is basically the lecturer comes in, presents the topic, you take notes, and that's it. You can ask questions, of course, but that's about how a lecture happens. While seminars is very different from that. Seminars are usually held in really small groups, anywhere between from 15 to 20 people, and you usually know everyone in the room. You're friends with them, so you can actually chat, and it's just a completely different environment. Each seminar is basically a discussion of the previous lecture, and it's really open for people to express their opinions, to debate, and to reach a conclusion. So it's a really different approach to learning than lectures. And now to wrap it all up, I will say that the good thing about university is that it offers a lot of different approaches to learning. If you're not the sit and take notes type, then maybe you will enjoy seminars more. And if you're the shy type that just likes to write down the material and learn it later, then you will enjoy lectures. One thing is certain, you will find a way to study the material the way you like, so you will find your time at uni really enjoyable. That was from me, and see you guys next time. Whilst in school, you're used to being in a room with 25 people you know, you have all your relationships, and that environment. The last difference that I have prepared is actually the hardest. The last difference, the independent work that you do in university is harder than the work that you do. In conclusion, now in conclusion,